This is a Sales Geek Academia to Business Translation production. Welcome to the deep dive. You know, for ages, sales coaching has felt a bit, well, fuzzy, hasn't it? Things like build rapport, be more friendly, make good eye contact. Helpful maybe, but hard to measure.
Exactly. Vague advice.
So today we're doing something different. We're taking some really fascinating academic research on sales and translating it, turning it into practical, concrete actions you as sales leaders can actually use, like tomorrow.
Yeah, the goal is to take something often seen as an art, charisma, and show the science behind it. Specifically how nonverbal communication, your body language, your tone of voice, how these are maybe the real keys to selling better.
The hidden keys.
Right. And the research really backs this up, what great salespeople often do instinctively. It turns out nonverbal signals are huge predictors of performance. The big challenge, though, has always been measuring it properly.
How do you track that? The subtle stuff the customer picks up on, often without even realizing it.
Yeah, precisely. Observing someone is okay, but, it's subjective. There's observer bias. And you can't really ask a customer after the fact, so did the salesperson's lack of vocal variety make you decide not to buy? It just doesn't work.
No. So this study we're looking at today, they found a pretty clever way around that, didn't they, using technology?
They did. They used something called sociometric badges.
Right, like Fitbits for conversations. Is that a fair way to put it?
Sort of, yeah. Wearable electronic sensors. And the key thing is, both the salesperson and the customer wore them during actual sales interactions.
In the real world, not a lab.
In the real world. This specific study looked at jewelry sales. So you get real interactions, but with hard data being collected automatically. It's quite neat.
Okay, so objective data, what exactly were these badges picking up on? What were they measuring?
Well, they captured a lot, actually. Things like how people moved, conversational turn-taking, physical closeness, face-to-face time, even the energy levels in the conversation.
Yeah.
And all without someone standing there with a clipboard, which is crucial.
No observer effect. Okay, let's break that down, because if we want to coach this, we need to know what to coach. What were the key nonverbal cues they tracked?
We can group them into three main buckets, using the academic terms but making them simple.
Good. Simple, it's good.
First up is kinesics, fancy word for body language, basically.
Okay. Movement.
Right. The badges measured posture activity.
Yeah.
So were you moving energetically, purposefully, or just kind of standing still? Static.
Got it. Active versus static. What else?
They also looked at posture direction, like were you leaning in towards the customer?
Yeah.
Showing engagement, or leaning back, maybe looking a bit withdrawn.
Makes sense. Okay, that's kinesics. What's next?
Next is paralanguage. This is all about your voice, but not the words themselves.
So tone, pitch, volume.
Exactly. Volume, pitch rate.
Yeah.
But the really, really critical one they found was volume consistency.
Volume consistency. What does that mean? Like how steady the volume is?
Yeah. Think about someone speaking in a complete monotone. That's high volume consistency. No ups and downs. It signals, boredom maybe. Disengagement.
Right. Whereas lots of variation, low consistency sounds more animated, more engaging.
Precisely. It's about vocal variety.
Okay, so body movement, vocal characteristics. What's the third one?
The third is proxemics. This is about space and distance between people.
How close you stand.
Basically, yes. They measured the total time people spent face-to-face, but they specifically looked at time spent in close proximity. The study defined that as being within 1 meter. Less than arm's length, roughly.
Okay, inside that personal bubble. Interesting.
So the whole point of tracking all this, the leaning, the moving, the vocal ups and downs, the distance, was to see if these objective measures linked up with how charismatic the salesperson seemed to the customer.
Perceived charisma.
Yes. And, crucially, whether that perception, driven by these nonverbals, ultimately influenced whether the customer actually bought something.
Okay, so connecting the dots. Nonverbals, perceived charisma, sales outcome.
That was the objective.
And did it work? What did the data show? Because this sounds like it could be huge for training.
Oh, it absolutely worked. The results were frankly stunning. When they crunched the numbers, two very, very distinct types of salespeople just popped out of the data.
Two archetypes.
You could definitely call them that. And the difference in their sales performance wasn't just noticeable, it was dramatic, like night and day.
Okay, tell me about them. Who are the good ones?
The high performers, the first cluster, they called the dynamic actives.
Dynamic active. Sounds energetic.
Exactly. These were the salespeople who showed more posture activity. They moved with purpose. Their voices were animated. You heard changes in pitch and volume, that low volume consistency we talked about.
So not monotone.
Definitely not.
Ah.
And they tended to lean towards the client more often. They just seemed more excited, engaged, present.
Okay, that makes intuitive sense. So who is the other group, the underperformers?
I call them the adhesive statics.
Adhesive statics. Ooh, sounds sticky and boring.
Doesn't it just... And their behavior matched the name. They were very static, minimal movement, glued to the spot almost.
Okay.
Their voices, monotone, high volume consistency, just flat.
Flat delivery. Got it.
And here's a really interesting one from the proxemics data. They spent a lot of time standing very close to the customer inside that 1 meter zone, but without moving or changing their orientation much, just stuck there.
Static closeness. That sounds uncomfortable.
It probably felt that way.
Yeah.
It signals disengagement, not rapport. Now here's the kicker, the performance difference.
Okay, lay on me.
Customers talking to the dynamic actives, 68% of them made a purchase.
Wow. Okay. Over 2/3. That's really strong. And the adhesive statics?
0%.
Wait, 0, as in none, not a single sale.
Not one, 0. That's not a typo in the research. 0% purchase frequency for customers interacting with the adhesive statics.
That's incredible. That's the kind of statistic that makes you stop and think, isn't it? It completely reframes the importance of these nonverbal cues.
It really does. It suggests that this communication style isn't just a minor factor, it might be the deciding factor in many cases. Being an adhesive static is essentially a guarantee of no sale in this context.
Could it just be, though, that maybe those specific salespeople were having off days? Or maybe they were just less skilled overall?
That's always a fair question. But the strength of using this objective badge data across multiple salespeople and many, many interactions is that it points to consistent behavioral styles. This wasn't just a bad Tuesday. This is how they typically interacted.
Right. It's a pattern.
And interestingly, they also noticed something about mirroring. Customers tended to mirror the salesperson's behavior.
Oh, yeah. So if the salesperson was dynamic, the customer became more animated, too.
Exactly. And if the salesperson was static, the customer tended to mirror that lack of energy. It really reinforces that idea that mirroring is key to building that unconscious connection, that rapport. Dynamic reps invited mirroring, static reps shut it down.
Okay, so 68% versus 0%. We know what happened. But the big question is why? What's the mechanism? Why does being dynamic lead to sales and being static kill them?
Pausing here just for a second to ask you, our listener, if you're finding this useful, please do share, like, and register for this podcast. It really helps us keep these deep dives coming.
We really appreciate your support. Okay, so back to the why.
Yes, the why. The study didn't just stop at correlation, did it? It found the reason behind the numbers.
That's right. And the answer, the bridge between the dynamic style and the sale, was perceived charisma.
Ah, charisma again. So it's not the movement itself that makes the sale.
No, not directly. It's that the dynamic behaviors, the energetic movement, the vocal variety, the engaged posture, cause the customer to perceive the salesperson as being more charismatic.
And that perception is what influences their decision.
Precisely. The charisma is the engine. The dynamic style fuels the perception of charisma, and the charisma drives the positive outcome, liking the salesperson, thinking the product is better, wanting to recommend the store, and ultimately buying. So this really challenges the old idea of charisma being some kind of magical, innate quality you're either born with or not.
Absolutely. This research defines charismatic nonverbal communication very practically. It's simply the ability to modulate nonverbal behavior to enhance client engagement.
Modulate. Meaning you can control it, you can learn it.
Yes, it's a skill. It's about creating a style that's, memorable, attention-grabbing, energetic, expressive. And the data showed the dynamic actives nailed this.
How much more charismatic were they perceived to be?
Significantly more. On a 7-point scale measuring perceived charisma, the dynamic actives scored, on average, 2.38 points higher than the adhesive statics. That's a big jump.
Huge jump. And that perceived charisma was the key.
It was the key mediator. It fully explained the link between the dynamic style and all those positive customer responses. Get the charisma perception right, driven by those nonverbals, and the sale is much more likely to follow.
This is fantastic because it means we can finally move past telling reps to just be charismatic or be more engaging. We can actually tell them what behaviors create that perception.
Exactly. It shifts coaching from abstract concepts to concrete, measurable actions.
Okay, so let's get really practical now for the sales leaders listening. Based on this study, what are the top actionable takeaways? What should they start coaching differently, like today?
Right, let's boil it down to 3 core actions directly linked to those sensor measurements.
Actionable takeaway 1. Coach dynamic movement. We need to actively fight against that adhesive static profile. Stop recs just standing there like statues.
Yes. Train for purposeful motion. This isn't about nervous fidgeting. It's about enhanced posture activity, moving with energy, and specifically coach that forward lean. It's non-verbally screams, I'm interested in you and what you're saying.
So, less slouching, less standing stock still, more energy, more leaning in. Use role plays to practice this.
Definitely. Make it active.
Okay, takeaway 2.
Actionable takeaway 2. Prioritize vocal variety. That monotone delivery is deadly. High volume consistency equals failed interaction, according to this data.
So coaching needs to hit voice modulation hard.
Absolutely. Focus on varying volume and pitch. Treat it almost like vocal dynamics in music. You want reps using a voice that's engaging moderately loud, at good pace, expressive, fluent. Customers unconsciously link that vocal dynamism with competence.
Right. Sounding bored makes you sound incompetent, basically.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, and the third takeaway, this one's about space, right? Proxemics.
Actionable takeaway 3. Rethink proximity and rapport. Remember the adhesive statics? Standing really close but not moving?
Yeah, the static closeness sounds awkward.
It likely is. The problem wasn't necessarily being close, but being stuck there. Real rapport involves movement, adjustment. Coach for fluidity and distance.
So it's okay to move closer, but also okay to step back, maybe circle around slightly, adapt to the customer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Avoid that fixed, front-on, too close stance for the entire interaction. Encourage reps to find a natural rhythm of movement and distance that allows for mirroring and feels comfortable, not invasive. Static closeness kills rapport. Dynamic proximity can build it.
Fluidity, not fixedness. I like that.
Yeah.
Dynamic movement, vocal variety, and fluid proximity. Those seem like very coachable things.
They are. And because they're based on objective data, you can actually track improvement. Which leads us to a final thought for you leaders out there.
A provocative one.
Perhaps a little. If these nonverbal cues are so critical, and we now know they could be measured objectively by things like these badges.
Then why aren't we using similar tools more often in our actual training and coaching?
Exactly. Imagine using simple tools, maybe even smartphone apps that track vocal pitch variation or basic movement during role plays.
Instant feedback.
Instant, objective feedback. A rep could see a graph showing their voice went flat during objection handling, or that they barely moved for 3 minutes. They see the data, they understand the issue immediately, and they can adjust right then and there.
Making the invisible visible? That really could change how we develop sales talent.
It moves coaching from subjective opinion to data-driven improvement. That's the potential here.
Fantastic stuff. So, the big takeaway today. Those subtle nonverbal cues. They aren't subtle in their impact. Dynamic movement and vocal tone are measurable. They are definitely coachable, and they directly fuel that perception of charisma, which, as we've seen, is a powerful driver of actual buying decisions. Stop being static. This has been another Sales Geek Academia to Business Translation production.